What's going on, everybody? Welcome to By Hair, Land, and Sea. And yes, I am back live. I have been on hiatus for lots of different reasons. You can probably read about them because I probably posted about them somewhere. But I'm super pumped to be live again, but also to have a great conversation with a new friend I met in the last year or so. Kind of started exchanging conversations, and I'm just super pumped because he is a stellar human being. Everyone I talk to just references this gentleman as the source for all things cybersecurity, cloud operating, all the fancy words that I don't know, but he knows really well. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome in good friend Chris Hughes. What's going on, Chris?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, excited to have you here. So for those that don't know Chris, he's been in the cloud cybersecurity space for about 20 years.
Almost,
Right?
yeah, almost. Yep.
Almost 20 years, and that's a lot. I didn't even know we had cloud for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Cloud hasn't been around quite that long, but I've been doing cloud in DoD and the federal government for at least like 6 years now, and then before that was cyber, for most of my career. So I've been doing cyber thing for quite a while.
That's fantastic. And I know related to that cyber stuff, I know you're involved in the digital engineering conference that I've got going on with Catalyst Campus soon, speaking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It looks like it's a really awesome group of folks. Like I've been following that organization and the work they're doing, and had a lucky enough opportunity to hop on the cyber track. And I know some of the other speakers that are speaking at the event. I've met one or two of them, but I haven't met most of them. It's kind of the world we live in the last couple of years, where everyone's connected via LinkedIn. So it'll be really awesome to finally meet up with people in person and actually like shake their hand and look at them and talk to them. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's gonna be fantastic. And so Chris, we're gonna go into, or everyone that's there, thanks for joining. Chris and I are gonna go into some of his story, how he got into cyber and all that stuff, and why he got into cyber, because I still can't figure it out. But luckily, there's people like him that love that stuff. But then also kind of his journey of co-founding a company as he's transitioned in his career and life and stuff. So Chris, kind of start us out of why cyber.
Well, it was kind of happenstance. Like I had always been in like, computers and electronics growing up, and I was getting ready to join the military and join the Air Force. And, how it is, they let you pick a few jobs from a list based on your scoring and testing and things like that. And cybersecurity sounded interesting. I had no idea like what the career field held or how, thriving of a career field it would become at that time. And I happened to land in cybersecurity. And like, once I got in there and started realizing like, wait a second, we use technology for, damn near everything we do touches or integrates or touches with, technology in some shape or fashion, and security needs to touch all of that. That's kind of what led me down the path I'm in now to being in the career field. It's been a little bit of luck and a little bit of hard work. And, I'm just here I am today.
And that's fantastic. And I'm going to pull that thread a little bit more. What is the career field? What does it mean when someone says like cybersecurity? Help us understand that.
Yeah, it's such a loose term, because technology is like so pervasive to everything we do. But when people use the term, cybersecurity, they generally refer to like, securing the digital use, of technology, essentially, like, whether you're talking mobile devices, applications, servers, enterprise environments, those kind of things. But it can mean a lot of different things within cyber. There's so many niche fields within cyber, digital forensics. You got offensive cyber, defensive cyber. There's so many different niches within cyber. So you can be doing it for like me, 15 plus years and still not be an expert at many things, because there's just so many different niches and expertise and areas you can go down, kind of a rabbit hole on and become an expert on. So it means a lot of things to a lot of people, but essentially at the end of the day, it's just, securing the digital infrastructure that we use in our daily lives.
I love how you said that last part. That's probably the best description I've ever heard of cyber and cybersecurity, because it literally is everywhere. Like we're using it right now, or it affects what we're doing right now. Even we're not using it, but as we're going live, there's factors all implemented. And you even have your own show. Tell us about your show that you're kind of going down that path of deepening people's understanding.
Yeah, I just had this opportunity to want to keep having conversations with folks and learn from other people. Much like LinkedIn, like the people you're connected with, is you have an opportunity to learn from them. And, I was having a lot of chats with people that were cyber experts or technology experts or executives, those kind of things. And I figured, like, why not try to record these conversations and take it on a platform where other people could benefit from it. So I started what's called the Resilient Cyber podcast, now has kind of become the Resilient Cyber Show, because much like you, I take it to LinkedIn Live or YouTube, that kind of thing, besides just a podcast. And, we've had, we're on our third season. We have more than 50 episodes. We've had leaders from, federal civilian space, Department of Defense. We've had people from commercial industry, Fortune 100, Fortune 500. So a lot of great folks from a lot of different backgrounds and different walks of life, and learned so many great things throughout those conversations.
That's fantastic. And where can people find that show? Because I know you've had a lot of valuable people on there.
Yeah, definitely. So you can look at, we have a YouTube channel. It's available on any, podcast medium like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast. It's on Spotify, and obviously LinkedIn is a great place. I go live on LinkedIn most Friday mornings around 9:30 Eastern. So usually I have a guest on every Friday, and we'll kick it off, LinkedIn Live on a Friday morning, and take it from there and distribute it out to the either world.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's what's so great about technology, is us being, like you said, being able to share these stories, these messages, and these conversations. That's why I started this show, was because we have all these conversations, or like you go to an event and you hear this great person speak, but then it's gone. And so sharing that out is just magical.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great way to, contribute to the community. And then also, like, many folks don't have an opportunity to attend a certain conference, or, hear her person speak, or, they don't get access to that certain community or something like that. So just putting it out there on the internet for anyone to consume and use and leverage and, benefit from is a really awesome opportunity to just give back, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the Acquia. I almost said it wrong. Acquia that you co-founded.
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago, I've been working at various industry roles in cybersecurity at different companies. Many of the folks or their companies know of them, that kind of thing. And, I just figured, why not try and do this myself? I had been doing it for other companies, trying to build their competencies and practices around cybersecurity. And I ran into a couple other individuals that were in the process of founding a company. And here we are today, a year and a half later. We provide cybersecurity services, focused on the public and private sector, but public sector is definitely our primary focus. We have about 25 people at this point, and we're working, in the federal civilian space, Department of Defense, and also in the commercial side of things as well, doing everything from application security, DevSecOps, cloud security, doing some threat modeling work. And so, yeah, it's really just taken off from there. And, we've been able to recruit some great people to the team by selling the mission too. We hear a lot of times that the public sector has a mission that the commercial industry can't compete with. And we've been able to use that to bring folks to, our team to work on some of these missions that have an impact on, American citizens, warfighters, those kind of things. So it's been a great opportunity and a great journey so far.
That's awesome. What was that like, leaving kind of working for someone and then going to like do your own thing?
It was it's an interesting, I won't say it is an interesting journey, and I did it 1 week after my wife gave birth to our fourth kid. So it was a perfect time to take a big risk, it seemed like, apparently. So took that risk, and, it's been a great journey. Like I said, I've been doing cyber, more than 15 years at this point. But there was a whole nother aspect of things that I didn't have experience with when it comes to business and business ownership, and especially in the federal space, contracting, teaming agreements, prime subs, RFI, RFPs, all these kind of things, acquisition. So I've learned a tremendous amount throughout that experience. And also I've had the opportunity to keep working on the things that I'm passionate about from the cyber perspective, while surrounding myself with like a team of like-minded individuals that I can learn from and grow with, and bring, to work on really innovative and, impactful missions. So it's been a pretty cool opportunity so far. A lot of stress, a lot of learning, a lot of growth, but it's been overall really well.
Well, you know what they say about entrepreneurship. 1 week you're Googling if you should claim bankruptcy. The next week you're getting a great contract. So
yeah. It's kind of like being manic, in the sense that, like, things are great and great, not great, up and down, up and down. So you just gotta hold on for the journey, hold on for the ride, and I think it'll be worth it, at the end of it.
Yeah. And how long did you say you've been doing that?
It's been about coming up on a year and a half, a little bit over a year and a half almost. So it's been, it's been a unique experience so far, and really, really great opportunity to learn a lot of things I wouldn't have learned if I just, kind of kept working as a practitioner only.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I love that story, and to see people as the SMEs and experts kind of go and build their own thing like you're doing. is a great journey and great example to the possibilities out there. And so, what are some of the big things in the world of? Since we're kind of going down the cyber path,
Mm.
what is some of the big things going on in cyber right now? Like, because to me, cyber is like it's going great if no one's hacked my stuff. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you don't normally thinks about it until it's time for until a problem arises, and then it's like, oh wow, well maybe we should have been securing that or paying more attention to the security of our use of X, right? I guess like some of the big things. There's a lot that could be said, but some of the big things that are really taking off at the moment is we're seeing a push for corporate boards to have more cybersecurity and security expertise in the boardroom. That's definitely more on the private sector side of things. We're seeing that push from the SEC, and then on the public sector side of things, we're seeing obviously there's been the cybersecurity executive order that came out after the SolarWinds incident. Kind of caught everyone's attention, and cybersecurity really has become a main focus area for a lot of technology leaders now, not just security leaders. In a lot of areas around zero trust, we're seeing a big push for zero trust. We had the federal zero trust strategy that came out, the CISA zero trust maturity model that came out. So federal agencies, both on the federal civilian side and now on the DoD side, are starting to try to tackle zero trust as part of that journey to have more robust security of their environments and workloads. Obviously, software supply chain security is one that you can't really go on LinkedIn without hearing about anymore. Whether you're talking like a cloud service provider, managed service provider, or open source software. Everyone's using open source software. It's pervasive across the modern applications, and people are starting to say, hey, maybe we should be paying attention to what we're using and what's in it and how it's vulnerable and like how do we respond when something happens. So that's getting a lot of attention as well. And that would be remiss, to be on. I know you focus a lot on the public sector, not to mention like CMMC, for example. There's a lot of focus on the defense industrial base. We have this massive 300,000 plus industrial base of companies that are servicing the federal government, working in national security systems, things like that. And adversaries realize that rather than going after the government, we can go after the soft underbelly, which is all these companies doing work for the government that have sensitive information. Maybe it's contracting information or sensitive controlled and classified information. So that's another big area of interest within the community, and there's been a lot of drama around that the past 24 months or so.
Yeah, I like what you said in the beginning is you don't really know about it until something goes wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the kind of the case with most things security related, physical or cyber. It's just kind of there until you need it.
Yeah, it's very similar to real life in the sense that someone's house gets robbed and then they get a home alarm system installed, right? And it's like, well, you kind of needed that before, or you get into a confrontation and then you start taking some martial arts because maybe you don't know how to fight. So you might want to look into these things before something bad happens. I like the book, if you've ever heard the book Left of Bang. It's kind of like that. You want to be doing cybersecurity, whether you're talking about preparedness or being able to respond, doing tabletops, dry runs, those kind of things before something happens, not after something happens. And that's kind of the crux of cybersecurity, is trying to sell that message to someone when nothing bad has maybe happened quite yet, right? So trying to get them to convince them to invest time and energy and resources into something that, may not happen or may not have happened yet.
Well, and I would never frame it as a good thing, but to your favor of your company, it's probably good when other people get hacked because it's like, oh, this is what we need.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against that. Every time you turn on the news, there's another data breach or another some kind of massive cyber incident underway. It is good, but it's also, I feel like it's become kind of like where everyone's been desensitized to it. It's like you get another email saying like someone was hacked that had your information. It's like, oh, you get free credit reporting, and we've all seen 17 of those in the last 5 years. I think people have gotten kind of desensitized to like they just feel like if your information's on the internet, it's probably already been compromised in some shape or form. So it's a double-edged sword in a sense. I think people are paying attention, but they're also just every time they turn on the news, there's another incident of some sort.
Yeah, that's true. I actually accept and agree with that. For me personally, I get a lot of those because my information's been hacked a lot, and it's like, okay, everyone's got it, whatever.
Yep.
If somebody steals my identity, just make it a better life for you. Good for you.
They don't know what they're taking on, huh?
I know. Well, I mean, they can take everything I have because I'm an entrepreneur. It ain't much. Jonas Lazo throws back at you cyber kung fu.
Hey, Jonas, glad to have you on, man.
Yeah. Do you know Jonas at all?
I do. We've been chatting a little bit lately, and I've been following, like I said, it's kind of that ecosystem where you cross paths with people in posts and comments and things like that, but you don't get really opportunities to meet everyone too often. So I actually think Jonas may be at that event that we talked about, the CCPI event.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to finally meeting up with him among, many other folks that I've chatted with in many ways, but never have got a chance to meet.
Yeah, Jonas, I was talking to him this weekend. He's planning on being there, or
Awesome.
I'm committing him right now if he's changing his mind.
He's got to be there now.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing you pulled on that I want to pull a thread on is, because I honestly don't know a lot about it, is help us understand zero trust. That word's thrown around, especially in the public sector, especially in the government world. Everyone's like, and at this point, it's like, I feel like I just got my zero trust lotion on. I don't actually know what it means.
Yeah.
Like everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly something that's been underway for quite a while. If you go back to like all the way to like, John Kindervag is actually the kind of creator of the term. He was at Forrester at the time, and he published a paper, called "No More Squishy Centers," I believe is the term. And when we had cybersecurity in the traditional sense, it was always done like a kind of a castle and a moat. You had this perimeter-based security model, and as long as no one gets past the perimeter, we're okay. And I think over years of data breaches and incidents, we've now realized that that model is flawed, and we need to act as if the malicious actors are already inside, because in many cases they already are. So that kind of led us down the path. And then, part of that cybersecurity executive order, now we've seen a big focus on zero trust. I think it was mentioned 17 times in the executive order. We've had the federal zero trust strategy come out, a CISA zero trust maturity model, and it's kind of it's moving forward with an approach that you have no implicit trust. So you don't just, you don't connect to a VPN and just roam free about the house per se. Like, you don't come in through the front door and then just have free reign to the house. Every time you want to have a new interaction, a new access of some sort, interaction with some data or system, you have to authenticate and, go through authorization and authentication to ensure that you have the appropriate permissions, your device posture matches the requirements, you're coming in from the right geographic location, those kind of things. So basically it's just a higher level of security maturity in many cases than we traditionally had. And I agree with you. It's definitely taken on a buzzword in the public sector in particular. We have a situation where, vendors, everyone's pitching zero trust. Our product will make you zero trust compliant. And it's like, you can't buy it, unfortunately. It's like DevSecOps. You can't just buy it. You have to cultivate it. It's a cultural thing. It's a shift in the way you handle security within your organization. So I think that said, despite the buzz and the hype and, some of that, I think we are heading in the right direction, and we have a lot of positive things underway. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that, because, I may or may not have been at a conference last week that there was a lot of zero trust thrown around.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's everyone's got it on their banner. Just buy this product. Oh, yeah. You'll be zero trustified.
Oh yeah, it's like innovation. It's just like, what is it? No one really knows anymore.
Yeah. So, if you can't define it, you can't measure it, you can't really achieve it, and it's kind of you need to be able to pin it down so you have some accountability on what you're actually achieving, in my opinion.
I like that. And so, to go even farther on zero trust, how are you working with companies, public sector, government, to like get to those points without obviously going down your secret sauce of why you're so awesome? But like, how would I even start like looking down that path? If I say I was looking for that, how do I start looking for that?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, in our case in particular, we've had, like I said, requirements come out of this cybersecurity executive order, and then OMB and the Federal Zero Trust Strategy, and CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, they published the Zero Trust Maturity Model, and it breaks it down across, different pillars like devices, networking, data, those kind of things, identity, and they broke out, different layers in terms of, kind of where you are in that maturity model. And so some of the work we're doing right now is working with the senior security leadership at the agency to go about and assess the different environments, different systems, different applications within their environment. And when it comes to identity, how mature are they? When it comes to networking, how mature are they from a zero trust perspective? When it comes to applications and workloads, where are they out on that maturity curve? So if people are not familiar with that, I definitely recommend going to take a look at that zero trust maturity model that CISA put out, because it can give you a good understanding of, one, what is zero trust and in different levels of maturity. And then also, getting an understanding of where you are as an organization or a program or a team, whatever, where are we at on that maturity curve? And then how do we strive to get, more mature in terms of zero trust and how we handle some of those fundamental aspects of it, those pillars that are laid out there.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate that. And because a lot of part of the show is helping everyone understand. And a lot of my audience is not cyber warriors like yourself. So I do appreciate that breakdown. I'm going to pivot a little bit. Let's talk about how many friends do cybersecurity officers have? I feel like
Uh,
it's not the most friendly job.
Yeah, definitely not many. It's the cyber, especially in the public sector, and I'm sure it's very similar in the private sector, at least where I've worked, it has been. Cyber tends to be the group that people tend to want to avoid. They work around you rather than with you, and some of that's been self-inflicted. To be honest with you, cyber always typically comes with an approach of no. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't have it this way. They say no to a lot of things rather than yes or yes, here's how. Like here, we can help facilitate whether it's a business goal or an organizational, on the public sector side, a mission goal, those kind of things. Here's how you can achieve those things securely. Here's how we can work together to get to that kind of an outcome. We always approach things with a no, instead of like a yes or a yes but. So we should work with people collaboratively and help them get to their mission outcomes. Because if you don't, they're just going to go around you. They just won't engage with you. They won't interact with you. They'll dread having an interface with you. So I think if people can work collaboratively, if cybersecurity professionals can come and work collaboratively with people, it can go much farther, and you would have more friends at the end of the day.
Yeah. Ed, I don't know how to say his last name. It's Tkacz, Ed Tagaz. He says you have zero friends.
Yeah.
I think he agrees with you there. And so, and I like what you said is finding out how to work with those entities and the cyber teams and such. And because I worked a lot in the public affairs sector in my Marine Corps time. Same thing. It's like, why are you guys here? Why are you writing an article about me? What is this? And legal gets the same thing that you guys get, or similar. Like,
yeah. People assume if public affairs is coming around, something bad happened and we need to get a quote, or it's never a good feeling. Same thing if cyber's coming around, like we're getting audited, or like they're trying to stop us from doing something. So people aren't quick to want to engage with you. So just changing that culture and changing that dynamic of the relationship, I think, would be beneficial for the career field.
Well, and I feel that's a great point that you bring, because I feel that's kind of the path you might be on, because you have a big passion about education. By educating about cyber, maybe growing more cyber warriors. But I've also seen, even with your show, just educating on cyber in general. What stirs you? What keeps you going to keep sharing more about it?
Yeah, I think it's several things. One is like cyber is often misunderstood. Like, as you said, like people, what even is cyber? Like, what does that even mean? What do you guys even do? And also it's like the reality that, we've all heard that the massive cybersecurity workforce shortage, right? It's the reality that, there's not enough people in cybersecurity. Like cybersecurity SMEs can't do it all themselves. We need to, you've heard people say cyber is everyone's job or security is everyone's job, right? How can it be everyone's job if we don't equip them and help them understand like the nuances of cybersecurity and how we can go about improving the security of an organization or a program? So I'm a big proponent of just trying to share information and build relationships in that regard. Because if it's everyone's job, they have to know how the hell to do the job and why we're even doing this job. So just sharing that information is really beneficial. And not only that, but it builds empathy, in my opinion, with other groups. Like if I understand, what the development team is doing and what some of the constraints they're under, what the timelines are, what leadership is expecting of them, well, maybe I, can work with them a little better than if I just think they're being standoffish and, they don't want to work with me for some reason. If I can understand what they're working on and why they're doing it and what the expectations of them are, it's a lot easier to work with them in that scenario. And I think it goes the same way for security.
Man, this is the great part about having someone like yourself on. I don't even have to ask a question. I can just say like 3 words and you just go perfectly. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. It's a lot of practice on these the podcasts and webinars and LinkedIn lives and stuff. So I just like talking and communicating with people and hearing about like their struggles within the industry, things that they've learned, and how they can share that, and vice versa.
Yeah. What was that like for you, starting that whole podcast and education journey that way? Did that come easy?
No, definitely not. And it's like anything else, like perfect is like the enemy of good, or whatever, how that term goes. Is like, if I would have never got started, I would have waited to have the perfect podcast platform or the perfect, logo or the perfect, how am I going to stream this or whatever. Right. So, just kind of got going with it. I'm sure I can go back to the first, early 10, 20 episodes and hear them versus the modern episodes. And it's not a lot different. But the difference is like the person that never starts it's never going to get any better. If you just start learning, get going, you can get a hell of a lot better, a lot quicker than if you just sit around, trying to make things perfect. So I'd rather just get going on that. So I got going, started recording, had a co-host. The first season went okay, and then after that we started picking up some sponsors and getting great guests, and it just has kind of snowballed from there. And we've got a lot of people viewing it, and I've learned a lot myself throughout that journey from the guests themselves. It's kind of selfishly is why I'm doing it. If someone I want to learn from them, hey, let's have them on, let's chat, and I'll learn throughout the conversation, and I can just publish it and other people can learn too.
Boom, high five. 100% why I do podcasts at all is because I don't learn right. I don't read well. I don't talk well either sometimes, if you believe I was in public affairs or not. But it's the learning aspect. It's so powerful. Like it's one of the things that wanted me to have you on, is I didn't know a lot about it, and I've heard the way you explain it, and you explain it in a way that people like me can understand. Because the Mohawk takes a lot of the brain power out when you say one of these. So I appreciate that, and I totally relate with that.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say definitely. I think a lot of people get intimidated, like to talk to other people. That I don't know anything about what they do or whatever. But you realize once you start talking to people, like they're typically eager to share like what they know or help other people, and just communicating can go so far.
Yeah, definitely. So before we go, I'm gonna give you, because we all love listicles. So I'll give you like a top 3 or top 5 things that I'm going to target the entry level, because I know there's a lot of people that are starting to go into cybersecurity. I know a lot of military folks that are going in, like they're doing their 20-year career, even if it wasn't cyber related, they're kind of targeting that because it's needed. It's a great career path. So what are some of the things that people can get started with? Top 3, top 5 things you kind of maybe wish you knew in the beginning that you know now?
Yeah, I mean, my situation was a little unique because I went to the military and they led me down that path in some ways. But if you're coming into the career field, I would just start to get an understanding of the different paths you can take, because cyber is such a diverse career field. You could be doing digital forensics, you can do offensive security, defensive security. You can be doing policy and program management, those kind of things. There's so many different avenues you can take. So just understanding what those are and what interests you, and then you can align your learning accordingly. Secondly, I would definitely emphasize seeking out different options for learning. You can go the traditional path of getting a degree, bachelor's, master's, all that good stuff, or you can look into alternative learning platforms, Udemy, Code Cloud, A Cloud Guru. There's just so many, like Pluralsight. There's so many training opportunities that weren't around, 15 years ago. You couldn't just jump on and, now I can be walking around with my mobile device and just, watch a course while I'm at the gym or whatever, going for a jog. There's so many different learning opportunities out there. So once you've kind of narrowed down what path you want to go down, what area of expertise, you're really interested in, start seeking out learning resources that you can take advantage of. And third is just connecting with people who are where you want to be. Say you want to be a digital forensics expert, for example, connecting with other people that are in that area of expertise, asking them questions about, where should I start? What should I learn? What are some of the key things to pay attention to? And taking a look at like maybe some of the certifications they have and things like that. That way you get some ideas for your own learning. So start to follow folks that are where you want to be can go a long way as well. It can give you some ideas so that you're not just kind of making assumptions and, blindly doing things yourself. You can understand what path other people have taken and how you can try to follow in those footsteps, to the extent that it's practical.
Yeah, love it. That's fantastic. I think I'm ready to start my cybersecurity journey. Not going to happen. Somebody else's path, not mine. I think I failed Security Plus the 3rd time when I was like, "Yep, this isn't something I'm going to go down."
Yeah, that I was going to mention that. It was one of the first exams I ever took, and still a great exam. But I don't want people to feel like they have to have a certificate. Like some people think you must have a certain certification to be in the career field, or that it's not the case. Maybe depending on the certain role or area you want to focus on, but it's not an end all be all with one certification that must rule them all or something like that.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Well, Chris, how can people reach out to you if they have questions, want to learn from you in general? You good with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm super active on LinkedIn, as you know, and I'm eager to connect and chat with anyone. I get a lot of messages about career questions or things like that, and I'm always happy to help and maybe even learn from other folks as well if they have some great insights to share too.
Definitely. And tell us again where people can find out your show. You said on Fridays.
Oh, yeah, Resilient Cyber. It's LinkedIn Live on my personal page, and then from there, I have a YouTube channel for the show, as well as Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. So it's definitely on all those outlets too. There's 50 plus episodes of federal and commercial, security leaders. You can go listen to, and tons of great insights on there.
Fantastic. Well, Chris, thanks for coming on. And Chris and I have been trying to get live together for like 3 months.
Yes,
we finally got it. So,
yep.
So it worked out. So everyone else, thanks for joining today. I'll be starting to go live again. Super excited to do that. Have people, well, if you want Chris back on, maybe we'll have him back on with some other folks to really go down that cyber path, know that more than I do because it ain't me. But Chris, don't hang up. Everyone else, have a great day. Be awesome. Be the reason someone has an awesome day. See you next time.